Hello, hi. Welcome to your favorite Makoti podcast, Makoti Unveiled. I'm your host, the resident Makoti, Teo. So, what's the one thing that I always say at the beginning of the show? Creme de la creme of guests. We always bring you the best. Nothing but the best. And today is no different. This week we're joined by Ncebakazi Msomi. She's a wife, she's a mom, she's a musician, and she's also a VP at one of the big banks. So you know she means business, ne? And I think that's why we have her this week, because we're talking about striking a balance between your professional life and Makotiville. Ncebakazi, Sisi, how are you?
See, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just jump right in. Describe to us, paint us a picture, take us to your house.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you the address. I'm not telling you.
Oh, yeah, please.
Take us to your house. What is a typical day in
Looking
Ncebakazi's
like
life?
in my world. Typically I'll be up by, say, 4:30 to 5:00. Planning out or looking at my day in terms of how it's really likely to look like. And because I work from home,
Lucky you.
I'm the last person. I'm literally the person who's going to be seeing off everybody. That's from the husband, that's to the kids. So generally, the morning is quite busy around those elements and areas, making sure that they have whatever it is that they need for school. And then around 7:30, then I'll be able to settle down and focus on myself. Looking at my diary in terms of what's my day looking like from meetings perspective. I do not know what it is about corporate and meetings. My God.
We meet about the meeting that
you
we are
meet
going
about
to-
the meeting that you had yesterday and the
Yes.
meeting that you must have tomorrow about the meetings.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's literally that's the merry-go-round.
Okay.
And then obviously then the work element starts. As soon as then around 8:00, then I start diving into things as they are. But anybody who works from home will tell you, see, we do not have working hours when you are home. People would think that you have it easier, but instead, I think there's a pressure to go the extra mile. So
I think you want to prove yourself.
yes,
That you're
you've
not
got
slacking.
that you've got your eye, your eye on the ball always. So literally, what should have been an 8 to 5 or whatever turns out to be like a 12-hour day, typically. Literally just on work alone, and we haven't even touched on what you must do on academics and things like that. Yeah.
I just need to tell you, I need to come, Ozala, me myself and this lady,
Yeah.
when we're preparing for this interview, I don't know, but hours is it? We were not talking at hours, at the normal hours.
What
The
time
texts
did
were
I
coming
text you?
through.
I think it was like 5.
This morning, she was texting me at 5. Just this
I
morning.
literally have to apologize to people sometimes, especially if I text you like at 3 a.m. I'm like, I do not expect you to respond. It's simply because I'm up and I'm planning my day. 1, 2, 3, just
She
don't
sent
forget.
me one around 11, nyana. So I'm like, night how much? So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But you talked about your kids, and your kids are quite young. How do you, or rather, what are some of the challenges that you have in terms of making sure that their needs are met? Because at that little baby age, they still need mommy quite a bit.
7 and 5. I think I came to the realization not so long ago that I need to actually start diarizing their stuff on my diary, because otherwise my world starts to fall apart because I've forgotten. Like yesterday, I think I got upset because I realized that there was a photo shoot at my girls' school that they did yesterday. And as far as I knew, and I put this on my diary, it was supposed to be on Thursday. And I had to diarize that, do Okuhle's hair on this day, which is the 16th of August. And so I'm like, but how
And it was yesterday.
and Izolo. And their hair is
Did she
as
at least
raggedy
look
as
cute?
possible.
Oh, see,
When she came home with that makeup, looking cute and stuff, but I never ever want to drop the ball on things that, concern them. So I try now to incorporate whatever it is that's important in their world onto mine. Like today, they're supposed to be having swimming, but because of my lovely Sia here, I'm kidding. I haven't taken care of the admin on that
I'm gonna
side
call
yet.
the swimming teacher and tell her it's Auntie Sia's fault, and I'm gonna make up for it.
Don't stress. So to make sure that I don't drop the ball, because for them, right, whatever it is that they go through, it's big in their world. For them, that's like the big focus. And I don't want them to miss out on anything that other kids, I never want them to feel like we've got busy parents. As much as we are busy, but whenever we are around, and by the grace of God, we've got family that is quite helpful. Like if I called any of my brothers or my brothers-in-law, people would just pick up and just do exactly what we ask them to do in terms of the kids. But yeah, it is definitely a stretch, an adjustment, because as much as I've got my own stuff, if I don't slot in their needs and their requirements and their own little diaries, including soccer, and because now my son is like signed up for cricket now as well, and the daddy was telling me that Saturdays as well are going to be required. I'm like, my Saturdays are never free. I do not know how I'm going to cross over that bridge, but it's right here and I must figure it out. So yeah.
Ooh,
Always
guys, busy.
Chini bao.
Tell us, what are some of the things that you have in place? You've mentioned you've got family that are a great support system, but what are some of the things you have in place that make your life easier?
Definitely.
Like, are you cooking in advance? Are you like meal prepping?
When we
those meal prepping people need to phone
meal
me
preppers
and tell
you
me
guys,
where they
like
get the time.
a golden recipe. Well, it was just the two of us, funny enough, just me and my husband. It was possible for us to cook, or for me to cook in advance. But since these kids came around, I do not know what it is. The food just finishes. I'm like, I've cooked more than I thought I needed for that particular day, just so there could be enough for tomorrow, or maybe just a little bit more for the day after. But it's never, ever enough. It doesn't work anymore. I used to work when it was just me and my husband. So there's none of that. But I've got a very reliable helper as well. And I think, wives, if you can include a helper in your marital contract, edit. It's very important. No, yes, please. No, seriously, Sia. No, seriously, because let me tell you, when we, in our first year of marriage, one of the things that I was like, geez, you never told me that this is like your view on this, because my husband grew up in a very nice, lovely, small, tight family, where umama is, literally the epitome of a perfect wife, does everything for the kids, never needed, a helper. But I come from a family yes, I come from a family of 11. So the life I've known is that we don't do without help. Period.
And that's not 11 people in the house. That's 11 children.
That's just the children.
Not 11 people in the house. That's just the 11 children.
And that's how my mother kept her sanity. I mean, at times there would be more than one helper in the house. That's how my mother kept her sanity. And so my husband's like, no, man, we can handle it. Once we start having kids, and I'm like, you better be joking. He's like, no, I mean, umama way is. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not wired that way.
Also, I'm not your mama.
Right? So it took a lot of negotiation. I'm like, she's stronger than I am. I am weak and she's strong. Accept my weakness. It took a lot of negotiation, but by the grace of God, by the time we got to have our first son, then he was open to the idea. Then he was like, okay, a day helper. The helper must come around. And you will not even believe why my husband didn't want a helper.
Why?
No, because he believes in freedom in his household. And I'm like, hey, brother, for your freedom, now I must, And he's like, no, but I'm going to help you. And I realized later that he really is a hands-on dad. He really, really is. I'm like, I love it for you. But
that is important.
So a helper, I promise you, I've actually seen people who are strained in their marriages or at work, simply because they're like, I'm at work 9 to 5. I come home. There's all this cleaning and this all this managing of the babies and all of the laundry and all. It's too much. I promise you can literally make your life, so much easier and so much better. And she helps quite a bit as well in terms of reminding me, don't forget, we've got this tomorrow, we've got that.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's part of the things that work for me. And then the second thing is that my mom and dad, according to law, in-laws, are like 10, 15 minutes out from our home. So they're also very, like, my mom has got like 25 grandkids. She's over it. She's like over it. She's like, oh, cute, another one. Oh, great, good for you. But mama and dad on the Msomi side are still, Gugu Gaga over babies. I think it's like 5 or 6 grandbabies. So
no, your mom's been having it. So
my mom has been having it. Like, she'll never even, like, I remember with Nkosendle breastfeeding him. I say, you do know, Guti, they don't stop. Unless you stop them, they'll suck you dry. Oh, that time is like, yeah, that's what happens to you when you have 11 kids. When you see a baby, you see a burden, you see another.
Ish, this is another breastfeeding at 2 a.m. situation happening.
So the family being sort of like close enough, it means whenever we need help, we're able to, ask for help. And now, oh, that's
lovely.
Sweet stuff. Yeah.
That's lovely. Now, okay. For context, Bazalone, this lady is a Xhosa lady married to a Zulu man. Correct? Is that the hill for you, ma'am?
Of course.
Zulu man. Your Zulu man. Awucabanga. You're so silly.
I love him.
You love him.
Ngiyamthanda ubaba. Yasifela ngobaba.
Please behave yourself.
Okay.
What was the question supposed to be?
Also lady, very true.
Okay, so the cultural aspect of Makotiville in the Xhosa culture is completely different to what the Zulu culture does. And I'm mentioning this not because we want to be, nitpicking at people's ethnicities, but if we look at the Xhosa culture, for an example, Makoti is expected to wear there's a duke, there's a scarf, there's a, and there in the Zulu culture, all you need is a don't touch. And you're happy.
Hippie don't touch.
Don't touch. Which one is don't touch? Is that duke that you just wear across?
Oh, okay. At least
the Zulu lady that told me, she told me that's called the don't touch.
I'm sure.
So she said, Bana, all you have to do as a Zulu lady is just have the duke on sometimes, and then you just have a duke that you put on like a sash.
Okay.
That's good.
I've seen it, yeah.
When you go into the in-laws, it's not as intricate and serious as the Xhosa culture, which you are born into.
Yes.
So because we're talking about striking a balance between the professional life and Makotiville, how is that for you when you are in now full Mamsomi?
Yeah.
Regalia
and stuff.
Like how's that?
There is definitely a difference in terms of expectations between our Xhosa culture and the Zulu culture, but also I will say, even within the Zulu culture, families will be different.
Of course.
And how scripture says, you'll never be tested more than you can bear. That's literally me, because those three-legged ports, I don't know, babenzo wenzanjani kuzo, by grace, I keep saying by grace, umyeni wami ukhulele apha, Joburg. I think the roots of, or rather, the roots of KZN in terms of ukuhlala kakhulu zaphela ku-granddad.
Okay.
Because even udada, udada womyeni wami, he also grew up here.
Okay.
So, as you know, I mean, without being insulting to anybody, but people here are generally a lot more open-minded.
Of course, more relaxed.
Less inclined or less pressured around issues of culture and things of that nature. For instance, it was my mother who would call and say, ulele ngo-5 benzela ngubani iti ngo-5 a.m. But that time, by the way, my mom is not that kind of mother-in-law to her daughters-in-law. She's not. But kum. And I'm like, you're exerting so much pressure. I remember first morning, the Paya Msomi household, kalube paya water, no by 2 days, no by iveki. So mama ndifoni lekuseni athi ngo-5 mntana musalele. Dithini mama athi vuka uyokwenziti. So I went to the kitchen. Dad literally went to the kitchen and he said he thought kungene isgebeng. Because he's like, what is going on? We never have noise in this house at 5 a.m. And I'm like,
and there you were with the kettle.
Fake and impress mama wam. Dithi dada ndenza iti dada. And it's like, nobody drinks tea here that early. So yeah. See, khola nto bana uzama imposer izinto nawo zase Eastern Cape. Nakhona zamanye amakhaya kwelinye ikhaya. So even in terms of dress code and things like that, if daughters of the home, like cousin sisters of my husband, bayakwazi ufika nge-strapless, now uyakwazi. And then my mom would be like, umyeni uyalahlekisa ungamameli kakhulu umyeni mntanami.
Is your mother related to my mother? I feel like I can hear my mother's voice in my ear.
Potentially. And I'm like, but all of this, these are rules that you are giving, but you are not my mother-in-law.
Exactly.
Umama umsomi akathwali naye, you know, she's chilled uneperm yakhe
Yes, girl.
yes, it's
Yalalaza.
you know, exactly, yes, a lot. So now I mean I don't, there was not even a single day where I had to go there ndifake iduk nento ezinjalo. And you know, you try to get a sense of it, because you don't want to be disrespectful.
Yes.
Ufuna ukwazi boundaries ekhaya bathini bona. And then even in things like meetings, for instance, mna so ndandiqala ndihlala kweza meetings ndithule ke ndibamba ucwangco ndifake isidima esi-extra ndinaso esinormal but ndiqomba mandizame esi-extra esi-quietness ke ngoku. And then utata would be like, okay Ncei, what are your views? Uyakhumsha ke utata.
Yes.
Ncei, what are your views on the matter? And I'm like, hayi tata, hayi loo nto ithethwa yifamily. And then they'd be like so bored, like the demeanor yakho in the meetings is different to the Ncei that we know. But over time I learned, but no, they really actually do want to hear from me.
They genuinely want
because
to
where
hear.
I came from, not in terms of family, but in terms of that cultural restriction. So uzuve kuthiwa umakoti uyabuzwa i-opinion, unless uzobuzwa ngoba i-carry pack ne-raja ne-list ye-grocery. You just come in to just talk about, oh, grocery thengiwe. But in terms of serious deep discussions of family, generally there's an exclusion that happens towards women, and with the family I'm in, it's completely different. So basically they were like, when we said you're a daughter, we meant it. You are a daughter. So as free as our sons, because they've got boys, mainly boys only, so like as free as our sons are to speak, now we are ukwazi ukuthetha, ukwazi to yo kwizinto endizithethayo ndiqoba, hayi girl uhambe kakhulu yebo. Ube free kakhulu.
Too free. Just rein it in. Jonga, I experienced that with my mother when I got married. So deep kechemiya, black kechemiya, the day of the wedding. And then my mother said, "Please, kechemiya man. Uyibeke apha phezu kwamehlo. Hlisa. So ikechemiya is the black duke, that the black shiny satin duke that a Xhosa makoti would wear soon after getting married. So I wore that because I'm married to a Xhosa man, and I wore that kechemiya, and my mom told me to pull it right down above my eyebrows, and that's where it was supposed to be. And I said, "But girl, that's not what my in-laws said." They said, "You've got a beautiful round face. We would like to see it. So please make the duke sit up there and show us your face."
Just like when they changed me for my, you know, bridal dress, bandinxibisa ke that Zulu skirt thing nezazinto. Xa ndiphuma athi mama, sifutshane esi skirt, sifutshane. And I'm like, mama, ndisinikwe ngumama umsomi. Literally. Athi, kodwa mntanami imileze bengafami yavithi, yes, phaa kwaXhosa sikwaZulu ngoku.
Yes, girl.
Ulalele veza umlenze. Ulalele ma. So yeah, aba omama bethu, I don't know why.
Ne?
Mhlawumbi bacinga fama representation yabo.
No, but they do.
But kusube ukrossele kwelinye ikhaya ngoku, so balifuneka balivumele le.
I think it's that thing where they think that your in-laws see your family through you. Yeah. So I had to remind my mom, Sisi, I'm not Nkosi Pendule's wife. Nkosi Pendule is my brother. I was like, I'm not his wife that you must tell how she must dress. Those people that side will tell me how I must dress. Please, just relax. Just hold it.
Chill, mothers.
And Bona, they're like, girl, do you?
That was so a day after being bekile pha, ndaya honeymoon. Yo kwahlalwa meeting. One of my brothers were actually 4 years at the time, so kwahlalwa meeting. Kodwa nangu Ncebakazi sihlasa. Nangu Ncebakazi into lesiva uthiwa uNcebakazi. And I'd hidden that fact from them. Ndaya honeymoon ke the day after. Xa ndisanda ndibeka and apha bayayazi uba ndiyakhona nina bangayaziyo nina.
So you left, girl.
Kwahlala sabezana siqonda uba siya airport bound. Oh, nyandi nihlazile. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And now, if you were able to speak to Omakoti, I think you mentioned something very important, that our families are all different. We may come from the same culture. Not all Zulu people are the same. Not all Tswana people are the same. Not all Pedi people are the same, and so on. So, how do you work around getting those boundaries and, you know, observing, like you said, you will sit and listen and see how so many people are doing things before you impose your ntansones. How do you, you know, observe and just see?
One of the wisest things advices that I believe umama wanika ngazo is that umyeke umyeni wakho to lead you in terms of ukuyazi family yakhe. And bayathanda ukusho ke naxa beniyala nebathi, and if ufika phaya, let's say there's squabbles, ungazingeni, ne? Be an observer for as long as possible. Ezinokuxela zona pick it up, because that's where you learn ukuthi ngomphi auntie close kuye, ngomphi umalume who had an impact ebomini bakhe, i-dynamics zekhaya zinjani, zimisaphi. And also, I mean, if uThixo wakupha nyani ke, also a good godly mother-in-law as well, because naye, you know, she went through the same processes as you. Uyayazi into elabo. Like, if I can tell you a joke, umama uthi uyandibalisela because I don't know if nantila ngoba nangakwazi ukwenza umngqusho or ipapa. I don't remember what I told her. And then she says, actually, sandotshata thina apha with the other sister-in-law. Uthi kwathiwa masipheke ipapa kuyimbiza enkulu outside. And she married quite young. I think she was early 20s. Uthi walaba mama belokish, because utata is from Katlehong, babiye ngaphaya. Salanda abayeni bethu. Sathi zimbiza zakho kwenu ezi. Siboniseni. Phekwa njani ipapa apha. So literally they got their husbands to cook ipapa on a big pot, because she said, I'd never done it before. Bayipheka otata. Xa befika omama bebuya, babuya be-impressed uba, wow, not knowing ukuthi it's their own sons. Abenze apha. So
I love these sons.
You're right. Amazing. Utata, very amazing. So umuntu ofana no mother-in-law wakho will be a person who knows this family, knows the dynamics, and izaba nguyo okuxelayo ukuba zihamba zimephi boundaries and how free you can become. So eyona nto ibalulekileyo ukuba I don't believe ekuzigqatseni mna. As much as ndindwebile and I'm free, but it will never hurt you to just, you know, sit certain things out while you're still learning the culture of the family. And umyeni wakho will be the first person for that. And then if usaphila, mother-in-law wakho akuncede as well.
That's absolutely amazing. You said something. I'm a little bit of a stalker, so I'm not going to say where I stalked you, but you said that you not want to give marital advice. You not want to do that. Ne? But what are some of the key things you have learned along your journey that you think may be beneficial to other young Makotis when they come in terms of saying, also, for an example, when you are a VP, emsebenzini wakho, that means you are a big deal.
A hard-working deal.
But with that, you with that kind of gravitas. Emsebenzini, it's the decorum, it's the ntonton. So are you not going to be like, you know, you get to the in-laws. She's like, hey, look, you know, there's a PhD. There's a master's. These are not the hands for that. So what would you say to Makoti with striking that balance between the professional woman that you are, because you're a hardworking woman in your profession that you're in, as well as wanting to be the not perfect Makoti, but to be, you know, a pleasing, you know, to serve your in-laws, because marriage is about service, you know. You serve your in-laws, you serve your children.
I think some things really are just being about you know, being a good person. Just be a good, kind person. And funny enough, the more educated people become, I've found, not only the more open-minded they are, but also like there's a level of humility, because the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know much at all. Promise you. Abantu abathanda uba arrogant, but you throw around titles or izinto abazifundileyo ngabantu who are still, you know, barely scratching the surface. So if ungumntu nje who cares about ubuntu, you know, those. Also, again, another thing is ndibe nento ethi mna, the same treatment I would give to my family, to my siblings, to umama wam, to tata wam. Why should I transition kuyo when it comes to, you know, according that respect to in-laws zam? If anangxaki nokuserve umama wam, kutheni zoba sislavery? I can't be sislavery ekhaya, emdantsane ndiyenza, nditshayela, ndisithi.
And giving them food on a tray.
You know what I'm saying?
You were there.
And nasekhaya bengekho ngathani bendifundile nakhona. And I mean the times I would fly down home before ndichate, already I was doing, important work. But ndiyazi uba ugodukile ngokusekhaya, umuntu omdala uyamserva.
And you're not an executive here.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you're aspiring to, or whatever it is that you are, just like in the dynamic of a family or a marriage. Kumyeni wam akanaxesha lokuba financials ndizithatha ndizibhekise ndizithini ndizijongise ngaphi. Just like nam, court cases zakhe. Of course, siyancokola ngazo because we just love to learn from each other's worlds. But generally, they're not the core of our relationship. Our dynamic is at a human level. It's at are you a kind person? Are you a good person? Fun level, good spiritual levels. And that's the approach you should have in terms of building all relationships, not just with your in-laws, because I can imagine, like with friends, if no, of course, Odiga. If you think, I'm sorry. No, I mean,
do you guys know what English?
It's like, ooh, now Cinderella. Like, it's like so weird. Like, who wants to hang around such a weirdo? Nobody. So, really, just for your in-laws, for your relationships at work, for your friends, for your husband, just be nje alright, relax. Because zakotusa sometimes, manganti asiphetanga but kuninzi.
Guys, on that note, let's try not to be amangata.
Smile, please. Yeah.
On that note, do not be ingata, whatever you do. Be nice, have ubuntu. I hate that this is how we're ending this show.
I'm sorry.
Ncebakazi. We're supposed to be talking about important things, Makoti here, and we're busy giggling and laughing. What is this?
So nabile elifini
Ekotiville. It's not as oppressive as people think.
No, it's not.
It really isn't,
hey? Not. So much so that I feel like I can't enter a lot of discussions because design because I may experience it different. And people, I feel like there's trauma bonding quite a bit, especially in the world of Amanda Bachatli and Andi Chukba, usubingeko valid, right, but sometimes you'll feel like she is. And Nanda Ogle discussion simply because it really is not as oppressive as all of that.
Marriage doesn't get really great PR.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Sadly doesn't.
Soloko ingati. It's the worst hood.
And I'm like, oh my God.
It will end in tears. It's funny now. It's nice now.
But 6 months later,
it will end in
9
tears.
years later, and
still. Yes.
And in fact, sometimes we even and I'm like, but like
my
really.
Husband this, my husband that, she will my husband you till kingdom come. Hey, Ncebakazi Msomi, ladies and gentlemen, ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
Good to see ya.
Thank you for coming and thank you for being silly. And to you, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, right here on SNL. Bye-bye, Thandwa.
Doodles.